Okay guys, I'm making this video to kind of recap on I guess the NFP day. If you were in the live stream or in the live trading call, you would know already what happened here. But to anyone who didn't, and I'm just gonna upload it on my YouTube, just personal. Like how I missed such a move, and I ended the week in pretty much the biggest red week I had since April, where I had 7 losses in a row. This week I've taken 6 losing trades. Trades that looked A plus setup to me, then it just didn't work out. It's I guess part of the game, but then losses are part of the game. A plus setup losses are part of the game, but when you miss an A plus setup and it does hit your TP, like for example, this trade would have deleted, and I would have ended on the week somewhere break even or positive if I caught this trade. And the reason I missed this trade is because I personally didn't see some sort this SMT on the high. If I saw it, I swear I would have taken it. So I'll show you the trades that I lost today and the trades that I should have taken. So if you guys want to go straight to the loss, sorry, delete this. So the loss that I took here was firstly on Euro USD, on this pair, right, in this start. So what you see here, you had news high here at 2:30. So we had NFP news 2:30. You can see how GU took it out and reversed from it here, gave the CISD on the 3 minute, not on the 5 minutes. So I guess if I waited for a 5 minute CISD, I would have prevented those losses. But yeah, I had an SMT here, right, this right here, and I had a precision swing point, swing point reversal here with the SMT, so confirming this, and I shorted at that 3 minute CISD here, like this. So I shorted this, it was in profit until here. Didn't move my stop loss to break even. Maybe I should have, I don't know, because we did make a swing point here. So if I put my stop loss at this swing point, I would have lost maybe 0.25% rather than my 1R. But this was a loss. I was trying to target NFP low, so that was my fail. My next one was gold. I also shorted gold from here. We had this initial SMT with silver, which I'm not going to show because it's not that important now. But I had this SMT with silver, and on the 5 minute time frame we CISD'd here. So I took a short here, and it also failed. I knew it would have failed because I thought we would get expansion, but what we got was consolidation. So I knew that this high was now a drawn liquidity, right? Which it took it out, and then kind of just, not ideal. So I was on the wrong side on gold, which was kind of easier to predict. But then the main trade that I missed out was on ES, NQ, and YM. So let me go over the first draw that I had, which was US 30. Okay, my initial draw on the day was this high here, this high, the 28th April high. Why was that my drawn liquidity? Because it failed. So there was initially there was an SMT at that level, right? This is the 28th August, same here. So this candle was taking it out. ES took it out. ES was even an all-time high, right? So took out 28th of April. The only thing that didn't take it out April, you can see how this candle now reversed back into the range, right? But the only candle that didn't take it out at that time was US 30, and that was before market open. So what I know is if the asset fails to manipulate at this, when you expect an SMT, right? So initially we expected an SMT with US 30. So if we go back here, so here's the SMT, right? If we come at 2 o'clock, it was down here, right? I can't rewind right now, but the candle was down here at 2 o'clock when news opened, right here, this 2 o'clock candle, and you can see how market open took out the high. So I knew this SMT failed because the other candles were still expanding away from that high. So if they're failing to manipulate, then this is the lagging asset that will catch up to take this high. So you can see a market open. So you could have traded longs and shorts, by the way, which I want to mention. So at market open here, you had this 5 minute fair value gap, and you could have longed at this closure. Why is this valid? Because if you look at the 5 minute on NQ or ES, they both are the same. So I'll just stay on this. You can see how it formed a bearish candle here, while it left a bullish candle on US 30. So once you tapped in this 5 minute gap and you inverse that, you made a 3 minute CISD, for example. Yeah, or so around here you could have longed. right? You long the lagging asset now. With this stops at the low, at that 5-minute low. It's a protected low. Why? It tapped the key level and closed above, and there was an order block on NAS, but this is a bullish candle, so this should hold. And you target here. So market open, you can see it pumps into the news, and you know, you could have adjusted your stop loss slightly, but if you don't adjust it and you enter, this is a pretty late entry, right? My entry should be after this 5-minute closure. If you traded like this, you would have hit your TP for 3R. Now watch what happens once US30 or YM takes out the high. That's when all three assets start to expand lower. This is when you get a true reversal, when that SMT fails and it gets taken out. So all three assets take out the failure to manipulate SMT, and that's when you get a new phase of price, right? So you can see how NQ and stuff don't expand lower until that high was taken out on US30. So my plan for NQ, you have daily open with no wick of the day. There's a gap, and daily open, and you can see how 4 candles expanded higher. So this is why initially you could have traded the 4-hour FVG model here with NFP news. You could have traded this right here. So if you look at the 15-minute time frame on that trade, yeah, so 2:30 it wicks at it, and then you know, if you trade the 1-minute time frame, you could have longed after the closure above and put the stop loss down at the lows. So you could have even taken that entry. But like I said, the focus was on US30 because it's the lagging asset. Now what happens here and why I would have taken, so now if we go back to my top step, you can see the NQ or the ES shorts that I should taken, and your target initially was NFP low, and then the target was the daily open, which if we go slightly on the higher time frame, just to mark it out real quick for you guys, it would have been down here. So if we draw a rectangle on it here, so this is your higher time or daily drawn liquidity right here, this gap, and you can see it melts through it, right? So here is the trade that I saw, right? So let's go on the 1-hour time frame. And so when do you want to anticipate a reversal, right? You want to see small wick, big body, right? So firstly, if you know anything about the 3 candle patterns, you have candle 1, which is your accumulation, or you know, just this range. So you have candle 2, which is your reversal, so big wick, I guess, in a body, and then you have your candle 3, which is your expansion. So you can see how candle 3, which is the start of a new 4-hour candle, does expand huge, right? If you look here, how many points is that on the candle 1-hour candle trade? A 300 point on NQ dump, right? So how would I have traded this? Number one, how do I know this is a possible swing point reversal with the wick, with the 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. so then 8:30 news or 9:30 open candle? How can I know it's confirmed? Because of the precision swing point. So you can see how this candle formed bearish, for bearish swing reversal, NQ bearish swing reversal, but look at YM. Once we took out the high, it made a bullish swing reversal. So when I see that, you can see how they're different, right? So you can see the strength is switching, right? The strength is switching, that NQ and ES are becoming the weaker pair again, or they're swapping, right? So it's a strength switch. And I mark out this whole 1-hour candle because you want to enter off of this candle, right? So anywhere between these candles, so when the candle closed, right? So anywhere after it closes, so new 4-hour candle, anywhere above here, you want to short, right? So you can see it just dumped right off the open, which is unfortunate. Next thing, my only focus now is on ES and NQ because that's where they formulate the SMT. Look what we have here. So that same 1-hour swing point reversal with different candle closure, you have it here at market open 3:30 my time, right? So 9:30 US New York open time. You have this candle closes bullish while NQ closes bearish. Number one, that is a sign of strength switching, and number two, you get a SMT at the highs, and then the SMT is confirmed via a bearish closure, a CISD. So you have the CISD, but let's go on the lower time frame to kind of even confirm the CISD a little bit, you know, while actually trading. So what do you have here? You have that initial SMT here, right? So we know that NQ is more bearish because look, even on the 5-minute time frame, you see the same thing, right? It forms a bearish candle here, ES makes a bullish candle here, so this is why I have this all marked out. You know, even if I kind of formulated it on the 5-minute time frame, it's still the same range, right? Even if you do it like this, right? So if you mark it like this, even, you can see how the entry should have been right at the open, because by the time then it left out of that range. But look, so you have this SMT here and that reversal candle signature on the 1-hour time frame. You have a CISD on ES, and Q you get a CISD kind of later within at the 4 o'clock open, but here you get the CISD before 4 o'clock open, right? So in this case you can enter ES before 4 o'clock open, and here you could enter after 4 o'clock starts, right? So at 4:05, right? So in this case, right, for me personally, because this closed the bearish, NQ is the weaker one, but since this pair closed below the order blocks first, you could say that this was actually the weaker pair, despite the reversal, because remember they both formulate 1-hour bearish candle, but the 15-minute was slightly different here. So it honestly didn't matter which pair you traded, but let me show you how you could have, I guess, pyramid into the trades, right? And I will be doing that via the 1-minute time frame. Why? Because the 3-minute time frame in itself wasn't precise, so clean, because you can see all of them were bearish candles and never kind of retraced. So I will be using the 1-minute time frame for this, and show you even how to trail positions. So obviously if you're in the live stream, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I blabbed for a damn minute straight. So have a close look at all these candles here. So number one, we had the CISD on ES. We didn't have the CISD on NQ, so you can see the CISD level right here. It didn't happen. This level right here. You see it happened on ES. So initially when you got that CISD, you know the swing point is confirmed because you inverse a gap and you make a CISD. So this high is now your stop loss, right? So if I were to enter right away after the CISD was done, you enter like this, your stop loss would be up here. And if we even drew the standard deviation tool of this exact move right here, your target would be at -2.5, which aligns with the what's it called, NFP low, right? So you can catch a 2.6 RR, and remember, if it fails to manipulate at the low, then you go for -4. So since it failed to manipulate, so you can see, right, it was gonna, if it retraced back into the range, you would close out your whole position, but you can see it closed back and closed below this candle and below -2.5, so you know -4 is your next drop. So initially when you take that first entry with no extra additional confirmation, you catch a 1 to 4 RR trade. Okay, so now look at how you could have taken other trades, right? So if that was your initial trade, you enter that, that's fine, that's your first entry of a trade, right? Now let's look at what happens here. You formulate an SMT. So firstly, right, you tap a fair value gap and you get a closure below it. So you got a order block here on the 1-minute time frame, right? So your entry would be on the retest of the order block, which is right here. Your stop loss wouldn't be, so if you entered at this candle before the 4-hour candle open, your stop loss cannot be at this high. Why? Because we haven't confirmed this swing point, right? I know it taps a key level and closes below, but you're on the 1-minute time frame and it doesn't confirm it, right? You only confirm it once we got an SMT. We got an SMT with YM. So if you look at YM now to your right, to this chart right here, you got an SMT at those highs, and then you got a change of state delivery with that SMT. So now you have a new order block series and you have an SMT. So now you can move your stop loss. You can add a second position at this closure if you wanted to, and you have now your stop loss on both positions up at this high of the SMT, because there's no reason for it to go there anymore. The second entry again was right. So this is on, I'm just talking on ES, but you can see on Q it's pretty much the same thing after that happened, right? And the next trade opportunity was here. So you can see you got that 1-minute tap and you got a closure below. So again, I was this is where I wanted to short, but I hesitated right here. I wanted to short like this and this was TP, right? A 4.5 RR. I wanted to do that and I just hesitated because already I took 2 losses, and you know that plays a trick in your head. So that's very annoying. But yeah, so you can see how you can just pyramid into trades and TP at these levels, keep runners towards the higher time frame draws. And yeah, since it's NFP and this is the only higher time frame news for the whole week, you can expect Friday to do more of expansions, more movements than the other days, especially towards the end of the week. So even after the 4 o'clock open, even in PM session, I might do something. So yeah, guys, I just want you to learn this is how I would have day traded. It just sucks that I completely missed it. I'm really not happy with the way I traded, but things were changing. Remember, a week doesn't define a month. Okay, let me simplify. A day doesn't define a week doesn't define a month doesn't define a quarter doesn't define a year. It's all fractal, everything's fractal. This one bad red week, I have 3 more weeks to just keep being my state mind and executing like I always do. If I blow an account, who cares? You just go again. You budget a certain amount of your some salary money or whatever to these funders, right? If you already blew early in the week, it's your fault and you don't buy until next month or whatever. That's how you are. So if you want it to last for your all 4 weeks, then you just gotta risk less, right? For me, top step, if I buy a new funded on a future account, if I lose 6 trades, the funded is gone, and I'm fine with that. The probabilities of me losing 6 trades in a row, it's there. It's possible, but I'm comfortable with it, right? I'm comfortable with losing 6 trades in a row and okay, going again, right? Remember, I don't gain anything from the funded parts. I'd rather, on the evaluation phase, I want to be funded, and then, you can take it as slow as you want. There's no one forcing you to do anything when you hit that part. Anyways, super sad I missed this. I hope you can learn how you can kind of narrate and formulate trades like this. Keep in mind, I think something that I haven't made clear is, for me, even you don't need an SMT to move the stop loss, right? Because for me here, you tap this for value gap and you get a closure below. In my opinion, I wouldn't, once I get a closure below this order block, I wouldn't move my stop loss here right away. I'd rather see a second push down and then I would move my stop loss. Why? Because again, there was no SMT formulated there. And if you were on the higher time frame, if you were in the higher time frame, it probably looks like a fair value gap or something. Well, here no, but it looks like an order block, right? So a 3-minute order block I could have tapped into and taken out that high. So once I got an SMT at these key levels and a new order block formation with a fair value gap, that's when I can add a second entry here at this closure, stop loss at the high. For example, this entry here that I talked about is more risky because there's no SMT until there was an SMT. Let me see where. So until this candle gets swept here, well, it's not an SMT, it's like the SMT broke. Once the SMT broke, that's when all candles moved in the same direction, right? So the SMT broke at this high, and then you see once the SMT broke, they all move again in synchronization. So that's what I'm saying, guys. When an SMT breaks, yeah, that's what happens, the moves. So, and then you might ask yourself, when does the SMT hold and when does the SMT break? Once you formulate an SMT, so imagine if we looked at this time frame at that same time, okay, yeah, so that initial SMT within those candles was with this high, so this wasn't tapping the fair value gap right here like this, and you can see you got a closure below, right? So I think once you got that closure below, I mean, it's tough to say if you shorted YM because of that, you would have got stopped. But remember, I don't want to short YM. I want to focus on ES and what's it called? ES and Q. But what I'm saying is YM started to dump once that SMT broke. So you could say it's a 2-stage SMT, right? Sure. But anyways, that wasn't the focus. So for me, even for me here, is once you tap this fair value gap. Oh, sorry, here's an SMT. Wait. There was an SMT here with between the two pairs right here. Like this. Well, not like this, because so this one didn't tap the fair value gap. So this one's doesn't matter much. I'm sorry, I'm blabbing now. But yeah, so once it taps into this fair value gap with the order block and you get a closure below, this to me is already pretty valid because we are in expansion, right? We are only still, look at this time, we are only 4 minutes within the new 4-hour candle open, which we expected it to reverse and expand away. So again, another entry here. Stop loss wouldn't be up here for me. It would keep it still at the SMT high or until we had that SMT here. So once your thing was in profit, then you can move all your trade stop loss to up here. And then I wouldn't do anything until you partial. So you partial your positions here at the NFP low. If you had no limit TPs, you can see it started continuing lower and then hit -4 and the daily open, and that's how I would have traded this. Okay guys, I hope you can learn from this trade. We are going to get come back stronger on the next week and the week after and the week after. We're just going to come back stronger from this trade, from this week. It wasn't the cleanest pay, I'll be honest. It was very, very difficult to trade. Let's hope for better weeks, and yeah, hope you guys could learn something from this video.